Hey guys, I want to talk to you about how IRS penalties rack up so fast. Have you ever thought about that? Have you ever gotten a tax bill and you look at that tax bill and you're like, oh my gosh, I owe $5,000 in tax, but the penalties are through the roof? I want to tell you why that is. There are two types of IRS penalty. One is a failure to file on time penalty and a failure to pay penalty. The failure to file on time penalty is 5% per month up to 25%. So let's say that you have a corporation, for example, and you fail to file that corporate return on time, and you owe $10,000 worth of tax, and you file that corporate return literally 5 months later. The penalty on $10,000 at 25%, 5% per month, is going to be $2,500, and it's going to rack up very quickly. Let's say you're a partnership, for example, and you file your tax return late. The penalty for filing a partnership return late is $200 per partner. So it depends on how many partners you have in your business if you file late. So let's say you file late for 5 months and it's 2 partners. That's $200 times 2 partners. That's $400 times 5 months. That's $2,000. Those penalties can rack up very, very quickly. The key is to make sure that you file your tax returns on time. Never file your taxes late. If you're going to be late, make sure you file an extension. The second penalty you have to be concerned about is the penalty for failure to pay on time. Even though you can get an extension to file the tax return, there is not an extension of time to pay. Many people think, oh, I owe IRS, so let me go ahead and file an extension so I can pay them later. There are no extensions of time to pay. The tax is due on the initial due date of the return. If you find yourself in a situation where you're not able to pay on time, you're going to rack up penalties very, very quickly. And the penalty for not paying on time is going to be 5% of the tax owed on the tax return. Can you imagine that you file an extension and your tax return is due in April, but you extend all the way to September, October? You're extending for 5 to 6 months, meaning that you're gonna rack up a penalty that you're gonna have to pay. So if you're thinking about paying your taxes late, my advice to you would be not to do it. Pay your taxes on time, file an extension if you need to, but you certainly wanna avoid these additional penalties. Let's go over some examples of when you actually file late and pay late. I really want you to understand this late payment penalty. Remember, the late payment penalty is 5% of the tax that is due on the return up to 25%. So I am going to literally give you some examples. For example, if you forgot to file an extension and then filed your Form 1040 tax return on May 20th, you owe $3,000 on the return and paid it in full when you filed it on May 20th, 2 months later, the IRS will hit you with a $300 penalty and $270 for late filing and $30 for late paying. That's a lot of money that you can avoid paying. Example 2. You forgot to file your Escort tax return. You filed it on March 20th, only 5 days late. If your S corporation has 10 shareholders, that's a whopping $2,000 in penalty. The key takeaway here is to file on time or file an extension and make sure that you pay on time, because the failure to pay penalties are extremely steep. If you have any questions regarding filing on time, regarding paying on time, please comment below.